Hey, what's going on, everybody in YouTube land? What's happening? So, once again, CC Talk, doing a recap over the last, I would say about a month, over Days of Our Lives. Remember when I told y'all Days of Our Lives is pretty much the best soap on the air, and, everybody should be watching? I still maintain that, but I will say, this d.i.d storyline for the last couple of months, since it has really went into full tilt, has kind of brought the show down to a few notches. Even more so, the ratings have come down with it. And Days was getting like 1.8s and 1.7s again, and I was like, yes, Days is coming roaring back in the ratings. And because of this d.i.d story, people was like, I don't want to hear it. And I can't blame them, because I will be putting up a video, I think within the next week or so, talking about soap tropes I really, really want for all four soaps to retire. It is 2018. We have to stop with a lot of these soap tropes. Or at least, only do them in small doses. Because, where you have shows in prime time, because the people who watch, viewers like myself who watch daytime television, we're watching things in prime time. We're watching This Is Us and The Good Doctor and Netflix and Game of Thrones and The Affair and all of these other juicy serialized dramas. And it's just, for me, daytime needs to get its act together and really refocus itself to making the genre realistic again. Because I think that's one of the main reasons why the genre for the last 20 to 25 years or so has been brought down to its knees, because daytime consistently is still trying to tell these ridiculous, over-the-top soap trope storylines. And I put d.i.d storylines right up in there, because it seems like every time a writer, particularly Ron Carlivati, as much as I have praised him for bringing Days back to being like an entertaining type of show, he has a tendency, from all of his stints at every soap he has worked on, he loves to do d.i.d storylines. And for me, daytime writers need to focus on other mental illness other than d.i.d storylines. Because I feel like d.i.d storylines, while at the end, towards, with the climaxes, and at the end, you could probably breathe a sigh of relief, and it could be way more entertaining, and, you get that whole vibe of like, finally, it's over, and it ended on a high note or whatever. You got to do a lot of bullshit. Prologue, in the beginnings of the story, in the middle of the story, for me to stay engaged. And I feel like with Abigail, Gabby, Dr. Laura, it has done that. Now, that's not saying that Marcy Miller has been anything short of amazing, because she has really done, the best acting of her daytime career thus far. I mean, her and Amelia Heinle, they're like the front runners for, I just want this soap trope to die. I'm tired of d.i.d storylines. I've been seeing, it's just when YouTube first got started, and I started looking at old clips of Key Lord having d.i.d, and then then later Kim Brady on Days of Our Lives, and then jump down another 10 to 15 more years, you got Kate and Connie having d.i.d, and now you got Abigail having d.i.d. It's like, it's one of those soap tropes that just needs to die. But enough of my ranting. So let's go ahead and talk about this storyline. So y'all know that last week's Days of Our Lives was just bomb.com. I enjoyed it a great deal. So we begin like the week of how Chad finds Abigail, but at the time she's Gabby, in bed with Stefan. And those two were in the bed because they were quote unquote making love. And Chad loses his shit, and he literally beat the hell out of Stefan, which is hilarious, because if you look at the difference between Stefan and Chad. It's like, come on. You gonna tell me Tyler Christopher, that thick, buff man, is gonna take all them beatings from that little 135-pound soaking wet Billy Flynn. Okay. But I didn't begrudge Chad for beating the hell out of Stefan because he did rape Abigail. Because in Stefan's mind, he's looking at it from the perspective of he has sex with Gabby. But he didn't, because Gabby is an alter. He got his ass whooped. Hope and Rafe jumped in, because beforehand, Kate had informed Chad that, there was a dark-haired woman rummaging through the house, and he needed to come home right quick. And so, of course, she got lit up on the back of her head, and she got thrown into the secret room with Vivian and Marlena. And I love Ron from Bringing Back the Secret Room, because for those of y'all who grew up on the Riley years, the secret room with Krista and Marlena was bomb.com. Now, this secret room was a very low rent, low budget version of it, because the secret room from back in the 90s, it was nicely furnished, upholstered. It actually looked good and, eye-pleasing on camera. But nevertheless, I enjoyed how those three dames, kind of like being like Three's Company, having like sparring fests with each other and throwing shade, but also trying to put the pieces together, like why Stefan and Gabby threw them into that secret room. And while they're putting all these pieces together, they are starting to lose, oxygen. So they're trying to find every like little way of trying to consume oxygen, because what happened was Gabby, who later when I talk about it, Dr. Laura actually, when she locked the door, Gabby locked the door, but Dr. Laura took it a step further, and she duct taped the whole door, so much so she duct taped the cracks in the door so they couldn't get any oxygen whatsoever. So we do this whole race against time thing with Hope, John, and Paul, which I absolutely adore, because this is a word, this is a thing to all of the soap writers out there who sitting up here saying like, well, I can't, write, for like try to mix the veterans with the younger veterans and put them in story and make things work. I can't do that. I can only write for younger with young and the older with the old, and I can't. You can. Yes, you can. You just being fucking lazy, because Ron showed us how he did it. Because after Hope, John, and Paul, I guess, put their brains together and started piecing things together, like where Marlena, Vivian, and Kate could be, they all went back to the DeMera mansion, and they went into that secret passageway, and they saw that the door was duct taped. So of course they unloosened the door, got through there. But the best part when they was rescuing them, so again, Hope went in there first. You would think in her mind she would go up in there and try to rescue maybe Kate first. No, this bitch went over to Vivian, and it was so hilarious because Hope went to Vivian, Paul went to Kate, and then you had John went to Marlena. And so everybody's doing CPR on the person that they need to, to get back to life. And so Hope was like, oh my God, why me? And so she started doing CPR on Vivian, and then Vivian like started choking up and, coughing up again. And Vivian was sitting up there like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? What happened? And Hope was over there doing like Hail Marys. I enjoyed that. I loved it. And it's been so long since I've seen Hope being like kind of comedical and snarky. So for Ron to like give my girls some of that was bomb. I loved it. It made me giggle. So after everybody came back to life and whatnot, I think Gabby, Abigail, Dr. Laura, she was already captured. And Stefan was in the hospital with, already under arrest for, raping Abigail, but also he was getting his injuries nursed and whatnot. So you got... I don't give a fuck what anybody say. The Gabby Alter is amazing because she is everything I think what Abigail wants to be. Because Abigail has to be so prim, proper, and together, and Chad, please save me. And then, her family, almost all of them on the Horton side, has to always come and run to her defense when she does something fucking crazy because she's so fragile and touched in the head. But with Gabby is like, no, I can take out all you bitches. I love them scenes at the damn police station because she was coming after everybody. She came after Chad. She came after Hope. She came after, who else was up in there? John. She came at any and everybody that would just hear her speak. And she was rolling that neck. Marcia Miller's a neck roller, y'all. I was here for it. It was so bum. And Marcia Miller was doing just a tour de France of acting because one minute she would be Gabby, next minute she would be Dr. Laura, and then, for a couple of minutes she'll be Abigail and taking that wig off and whatnot. Oh man, it was crazy good. And it was just good. I loved that. And then, you go back to the hospital, you get Jennifer finally being, the force in this storyline. She finally gets out her mama bear claws and approaches Stefan at his bedside, because Stefan was trying to explain himself and talk about what me and, your daughter have is consensual. What I did to her was not rape. He was basically uttering that. And Jennifer, got her mama bear claws out, my daughter will never have an affair and tear her family apart for the likes of you. You raped my daughter. How dare you? Why would you do this to my daughter? It was hilarious because I was just here for it. I was like, finally, Jennifer. Finally, you've been so busy getting your jush pounded by Eric, you ain't even been thinking about your daughter, have you? But I cannot wait till her mom comes, the actual Dr. Laura. Why is Abigail so fucking crazy? Why is she fucking crazy? And it skipped Jennifer. Jennifer, I think the thing is, y'all know this stuff is a lot of times, because I think, if I'm not mistaken from the history I read about this show with that character, Laura Horton, is that she got schizophrenia. And her mom has schizophrenia. And it's, again, I think the crazy got passed down, but it's Miss Jennifer and Mike, her brother. And the great thing is that because it missed Mike and Jennifer, they were living at their grandma's Hortons and Grandpa Horton's house most of the time in the 80s. So they weren't dealing with, Laura Horton's bullshit. But I can tell you right now, when Laura Horton got up out that cuckoo ward back in the early 90s, I think she was starting to look over Abigail a bit much. So I don't know. Maybe she passed that, that stuff got hereditary, got passed on to Abigail. But to be honest, let's be real. A lot of the Hortons are touched in the head. And this is nothing new. I mean, Jessica Fallon was touched in the head. Nick was touched in the head. Hope has had her, moments of being touched in the head. Again, Laura being married into that family, she's been touched in the head. I'm trying to think who else has been touched. JJ JJ's been touched because remember a couple months, well, about back in December, he almost committed suicide because he couldn't cope with what he did to Theo. Then now you got Abigail. She went from having PTSD from what happened with Ben, now getting multiple personalities. I mean, this family, they need to address this. This is like a big elephant in the room because every time when they, hit the nutty meter, it's like they start coming after people, and they need to address that. I hope Ron addresses this because, again, every time. But since we're on that, Gabby, the actual Gabby, she's still in prison lockup because of Abigail, Gabby, Dr. Laura's lies on the witness stand. She got her ass beat because of Lieutenant Rain's girlfriend, and some of the other inmates whooped her ass. And it was bad. It was brutal. Like, she was bleeding all in her nose and her cheeks and her face. It was so, it was dreadful. So she's sitting up in infirmary or whatever, what y'all call it, the hospital, the ward, hospital ward at the prison. And she's talking to Will about all what has went down and what's happened, and she wants to get the lowdown, and she's getting all the tea and whatever. And she finds out that everybody is babysitting Abigail because Abigail has lost her mind again, and she's got all these multiple personalities. And so Gabby was speaking for a segment of the audience that I just had to cheer loudly for when she said, see what's happening? And I'm paraphrasing when I'm saying this now. She's like, see what's happening? I'm sitting up here in the prison, bandaged up, and I'm missing time with my daughter while everybody else is taking care of Abigail. I said, yay! Speak on that privilege, girl. Yes! Because let's be real. Abigail is the definition of white privilege in this whole thing, because she's over there dealing with the mental illness, and all of her family members are trying to coddle her and be like, baby, what's wrong? And she's sitting up here getting people locked up in prison and killed, and they're just treating her like with kid gloves and whatnot, where Gabby, she's sitting up in prison for a murder she didn't fucking commit. So I'm like, she almost got an ass whoop to almost her death because of this bitch. If I'm Gabby, two things would happen with me. I'm not fucking with no Hortons and no Damaris anymore. No. Yes, my daughter is a Horton by blood, and yes, she could come over and visit when the holidays roll around. But I'll be damned if I be sitting up there sipping tea and crumpets with them damn Hortons and Damaris anymore, because now the battle has been drawn. Because I had to deal with this with Nick's ass when he tried to rape me and I killed his ass. And now I'm dealing this with Abigail and her mental illnesses and whatnot. No, I'm not fucking with no Hortons anymore. No way, no how, no ma'am. And then, what's the other one? I'm taking my company away. Now, she needs to lower up real good with that. She needs to try to get her Gabby Chic up out of the Demera clutches so she can move on elsewhere, take it to the Kiriakis family, to the Titan business, where she should have been the whole time. But yeah, I mean, she needs to do that, because to me, no, there's no more this whole, oh, I forgive you bullshit, because she done been in prison twice because of them fuck ass Hortons. And I wouldn't, that's real life. You keep screwing me over, I'm not gonna fuck with you too much longer. And that's the attitude that Gabby needs to have here on out. So yeah, but overall, the story for me, it's been hit and miss, but I did enjoy last week because we're right at that climax with it, and I'm loving how it started to progress towards the end. So that's cool. Then we go on to, what's the next story I want to talk about? The whole reveal with Lonnie and Eli, Gabby, and JJ with the baby. Before Gabby went to prison, y'all know the big reveal happened with Lonnie. and her coming out and saying that the baby was Eli's and not JJ's. And once again, Casey Moss did a hell of an acting job, and he was flawless in it. But my problem was with, of course, with Lonnie. My problem with Lonnie is this. If you gonna be a hoe, be a hoe. But stop being a hoe, taking every female's man any chance you get. And then when you get caught, you want to put on them tears. I'm sorry, where I come from, bitch, I'm surprised Gabby didn't smack the hell out of Lonnie. Pregnant and all. Because like I said, where I come from, that's something that would have happened. She would have smacked the fuck out of Lonnie, real talk. And it just amazes me, like, how many passes Lonnie gets on this damn show. From, you know, opening her legs up to Sean and now opening her legs up to Eli, you know, in a moment of quote-unquote vulnerability. Like, no, this girl is messy, and she needs to sit in the, you know, in the timeout chair and cross her legs sometimes, because this is, no, if you are gonna be a hoe, just own your hoe-ness, own your thoughtness, bitch. But then what really got on my nerve was Eli had her over at his place, and I guess her stomach was upset and she couldn't eat certain, you know, foods because, you know, she would go into the bathroom and she started throwing up. So he calls up Grandma Julie and tells her to bring over some soups and some crackers. Her ass comes over to bring over some soups and crackers. I said, hold up, bitch. Julie, if this was Gabby in the same position as Lonnie, you wouldn't be bringing that bitch no soup and no crackers. And you know damn well you would. You be calling her every kind of hoe in the book. You be bringing up Nick and how Eli shouldn't be trusting her, blah, 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 blah. But you bringing soups and crackers to a bitch that sat up there and was in a relationship with JJ and had him thinking that that baby was his, you know, and turning around and sleeping with your grandson and having him not want to take responsibility for the baby. Like, no. Like, Julie really just irked my nerves with that. I still like Julie, but she's a big-ass hypocrite, because, nah. She just treats Gabby like some shit, and I don't like that. But it seems like, to me, Eli and Lonnie are starting to get closer together. Where they're about to, I guess you could say, slowly but surely become a couple, considering the baby will be here in probably the next several months. I give it till August when the baby will be born. So there's that. Then we go on to this teenage crap with Sierra, Trip, and Claire. And I'm still holding firm. I'm telling y'all, and I don't give a fuck if anybody gets mad when I say it. I'm still not shipping, you know, Sierra and Trip. I don't care for it. Again, that's too close for comfort in terms of the family genetics pool. I think that's gross and nasty how, you know, that's all set up. But I still don't like how Trip is getting away with certain things that, you know, Sierra doesn't know about. Like, I don't even think Sierra even knows that Trip almost damn near killed her mom once, you know, before she got back, as an act of revenge so Kayla could lose her job. Remember when, you know, this was during the Higley run, and Trip was toying with Kayla's medical charts one day and was messing with the different, I guess, medications, and Hope was up in there because this was during, like, when Deimos had drugged everybody at that party. And, yeah, I was like, okay, this motherfucker, like, if he lasts long, I hope, you know, Sierra knows about this, and they still haven't hit that beat yet in their little relationship. And I don't know why the writers are letting Trip get away with shit, and I know why they're doing it, because they're still trying to push this whole, well, let's make a super couple out of Bo and Steve's children. And I'm like, for a show that always says we don't want to do super couples no more, y'all still be trying to create super couples. Y'all are so ridiculous over there. But nevertheless, the whole Bella contest was silly, of course, but apparently Sierra had led by a lot, she was high in the lead, but then Claire got jealous of the fact that, Sierra was going to win. So she called up the boy Wyatt, who went out with Sierra a couple of times when Vivian Giovanni was still playing Sierra, and brought him back so he could rig up the voting, and work those numbers up into Claire's favor. And then so, of course, Claire got busted because she thought she was talking to Wyatt on the cell phone, text messages, and come to find out he had lost his cell phone in the bathroom, and I think Tripp had found it and gave it to Sierra. Tripp's up here trying to be Dudley Do Right, talking about do you think that's a good idea? I say you shut up, because you the last one that should be sitting up here trying to be a conscience to anybody. But okay, bitch. So Sierra goes ahead and do it, and looks through the text message, starts texting Claire back. Wyatt comes to the loft and tells Claire, like, I lost my cell phone, I don't know where it's at. And then that's when Claire starts to freak out and recognize that Sierra was the one that had the cell phone. So, of course, Sierra chews out Claire, lets her know the business, that she needs to tell Eve about, like, her cheating on the contest and whatnot. And it all got resolved, but in a messy kind of way, because jumping to Brady, Lucas, Chloe, and Eve, they were all at the Doves place when all this shit was going down. And the creepy little Mexican guy who was stalking Chloe wants Chloe to leave Lucas so she could go to Mexico and, I guess, be some guy's new romance, I guess. And we all know that this is pretty much Teresa's entrance backstory line. And so something happened with one of their drinks when they were all like having like a little, double date. And I think Lucas and Brady switched drinks, and Brady ended up drinking one of the drinks where it was drugged from that, the creepy Mexican guy. And Eve and Brady got into it because, at the Horton Square, because I think Claire went and told Eve about her cheating and, on that contest, and that, infuriated Eve. And Brady started to have like these headaches, and he was spinning around. He fell down, and Eve was all like, well, you're drunk. I don't believe that, somebody drugged you and la-da-da. I said, see, this is why I can't ship Eve and Brady. Because every time when Brady tries to reason with this woman, she's always like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And it's like, she even tried to blame him for the Bella contest results. I'm just like, no, y'all are not going to make a very good couple. Now, mind you, I do like Eric and Cassie's, chemistry together. But I am a Brady and Chloe fan, and it just irks my nerves to no end. Again, this show loves to create super couples, but they're too scared to go back and revisit super couples. Brady and Chloe are on the damn canvas, on the contract. Why are we not revisiting these two people? Is it because the actors don't want it? Is it because the executive producers don't want it? I mean, I don't understand. I'm not even asking for them to be a couple. Can they just fuck sometime? Like, come on. Like, I would love to see more screwing, particularly on this soap opera that pretty much put romance back on the map in the 80s and the 90s. Like, I would love to see more screwing with these people on this canvas. And it's just like Brady and Chloe would be those two people, because look at Eric and look at Nadia. You can't tell me those two people would not make beautiful, sweet romance. It just irks my nerves that this show just refuses to revisit Brady and Chloe while you still had them on the canvas together. But they're going to push their agenda with this whole Eve, Brady, and Teresa thing, because Teresa was in Mexico City with Chloe because I guess they dumped her at some rotten old motel somewhere, and Teresa meets up with her, and that's when Chloe starts to tell her, like, yeah, Brady done moved on a couple of times. Like, he went with Nicole, and that didn't work out, and then he went with your sister, and he's with her. And Teresa acting like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm like, girl, you've been gone for about a year or so. You really think that man was just going to sit around, just wait on you to come back from your crazy adventures with, Kim and Shane for you to just come back and pick up where y'all left off? Like, no, girl. Like, he has a right to move on. They're trying to work out some kind of plan to, get each other out of that captiveness, and we'll see how that turns out, because I know they'll be playing more of that throughout the week. Let's see here. We get more of the quad between Paul, Sonny, Leo, and Will. I'm still enjoying Will and Paul. They are a great couple. I'm enjoying them. They're hot. They're sexy. I just love them. They just have a really good chemistry. I love them. Leo and Sonny, they're okay. They're just okay. We all know Leo is only with Sonny because he's working with Vivian, because he's kind of like a mole. He's trying to get intel on the Kitiakis' empire and Titan to pass on to Vivian. But I did hear, and I did also read, that Chris Bashan has picked up a pilot somewhere. I don't know if he picked up a pilot or he's just going to be on a few episodes, but he's going to be on this new Star Trek show that's going to be coming out, and I'm like, oh no. So I don't know if he's going to be leaving the show for good, or this is just, like I said, he going to be pulling double duty like he's, Victoria Rao. You know how Victoria Rao was on YNR, and and then she would go and do the little doctor show with Dick Van Dyke. So I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But I hope he's not leaving, because, like I said, I am loving Paul and Will together. But we'll see how that turns out. But that's pretty much been all the stories. Like I said, that damn, Abigail, Gabby, Dr. Laura is a mess. Marlena's coming to the rescue using her psychiatry work, and I'm so happy we are finally recognizing that Marlena is a fucking psychiatrist, and she needs to be used in situations like this. This is what irked me a lot when Hope went through what she went through for like 2 years, dealing with, Stefano and Bo. They never wanted to use Marlena as her psychiatrist. Like, she could have been utilized so well in that story. But unfortunately, the hack writers that we had during that time period didn't want to explore it. Now, Ron is willing to explore it with Abigail, and I'm very happy about it. But, yeah, so that's been Days. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know, have y'all been enjoying Days? Have you been mixed bag with Days lately? Or you just not been feeling Days lately? To me, I feel like Days, compared to what I've been seeing with the other 3 soaps, I mean, Bold and the Beautiful is straight trash. Y'all know how I feel about that show. It's trash. General Hospital only has like one story that I like, and that's the Mike Alzheimer's storyline that's going on General Hospital. I'm liking that, but Young and the Restless is entertaining. I understand some people are still upset that JT is dead, but I am liking the progressions of story as it pertains to Victoria. I'm liking new Kyle. And we'll see how that turns out. But some of, the whole Hillary needing a baby thing, she needs to put that on hold. She really needs to put that on hold. Because Hillary and Kyle will be hot. And I'm tired of Devon's sanctimonious ass. It's like, you knew what kind of chick she was when you got with her. Why are you trying to act all brand new? But whatevers. Anyhow, talk to you all later. Peace for now.